If you're a dungeon master like me, you'll definitely have struggled at some point in your life to come up with a plot for your players to follow. Sure, the blacksmith's daughter kidnapped by goblins works at first, but eventually you want something bigger than that, something more grandiose, and honestly, probably so do your players. But writing a large, overarching plot is hard. Doubly so when you have multiple little troglodytes grabbing your pen and sending your story into nigh unheard of directions. So, how do you create problems worth solving? Well, I came up with an answer that works for me, and maybe it'll work for you too. It's the process of creating problems, solutions to problems, and problems to solutions. And it's dead simple. First things first, come up with a problem. There's a lich in a cave in the mountains to the north. Well, that certainly is a problem. Okay, let's think of the most obvious solution. Kill the lich! Yeah, that would be the simplest solution. Okay, great. Now, let's think of a problem with that simple solution. Well, of course you can't kill a lich, you need to destroy its phylactery first. That would throw a wrench in the plan. Okay, so what's the obvious solution to that? Kill the phylactery! Right, that makes sense. That's the obvious solution. So what's the problem with the solution? We don't know where the it is. And that would really suck to find, now wouldn't it? So what's the solution? How do we find the phylactery? This is the first problem that has a more fluid solution. I'm going to pose one here in my work, but this is something that you can let your players chew on. What is their solution to this problem of how do we find this mythical needle in a haystack? Well, the Grand Wizard Mullen is known far and wide for his mastery of scrying magics, so maybe he'd have a way to find it. Brilliant! Mullen surely knows how to find this needle in a haystack, and a lich is nothing to scoff at. He'd probably even be willing to help the party defeat them. So what's the problem with this obvious solution? Well, Mullen can perform the ritual, but he needs a certain rare focus crystal. This crystal can only be gathered from a certain cave in a far-off mountain range, and he has matters of national import that he must attend to, so he cannot leave his post to retrieve it himself. Okay, so Mullen can't do the ritual if he doesn't have the crystal. What's the obvious solution here? Let's go get a crystal. That's right, the party can go get the crystal for Mullen. But what's the problem? Well, of course, the arcane energy of such a volatile crystal has attracted a great many arcane beasts. So, what do? The party can fight those monsters. Good gods, you're right. The party can go to the cave, fight their way through the ruin, and secure the crystal. Once that's done, they can bring the crystal to Mullen, and they can identify the location of the phylactery. Well, they could. This is where you have a choice. You could let the party succeed, give Mullen the orb, have him locate the phylactery. Then the party could go on to find and destroy that item. Finally, they finish their victory lap with slaying the lich and saving the day. Or, we ask the question, what's the problem to this obvious solution? Mullen was actually the lich, and he was using the party to gather a grand soul crystal, which he intends to use to ascend to godhood. So, the party gives Mullen this crystal, and he takes them prisoner, intending to use their souls to weave the existing phylactery into the soul crystal, allowing him to ascend to godhood. Not good. What's the obvious solution to this problem? Well, once again, there's really not. The party is captured, so in my mind, the most logical and obvious solution would be escape. Yes, escape the prison, but it's guarded. Beat the guards, navigate the halls, find the ritual, destroy the phylactery, kill the lich, save the day. See? It's easy. I just created a whole adventure, a whole epic journey, just by asking the one question, what's the solution to this problem? And the follow-up, what's the problem to this solution? And yes, sometimes your players will surprise you. They'll thwart your plans, and it's important that if they don't take the obvious solution, that you reward their creativity. Keep your adventures as bullet points instead of books, and you can very neatly and skillfully transition from one plan to the next, simply by asking, what's the obvious thing to do here, and how do I mess that obvious idea up in a way that seems fair to the players? I'd also add a note that you should, of course, give your players some undisputed victories. Yes, but works for a narrative, but it's frustrating for players who never feel like they're going anywhere. It's that balance that takes years of experience to find, and nobody's truly perfect at it. Anyways, that's all I've got. If you've got any tips on writing better overarching campaigns, drop them in the comments down below. And while you're down there, maybe share an awesome D&D adventure that you've gone on with your friends. Thanks everybody for watching, and have a great day.